Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we have a bombshell that the mainstream liberal media will not cover. And if they do talk about it, they will only talk about it for one day because it does not fit the narrative, okay? Democrats are not racist, okay? They're not racist according to the mainstream liberal media. It is impossible to be racist and a Democrat at the same time, according to MSNBC, CNN, and the Democrat Party, right? Except we all know who the Democrats actually are because they reveal themselves almost every single day. And this time we have some very, very, very overt racism to talk about that has been exposed in leaked audio that contains a Democrat, in fact, the leader of the LA City Council, saying racist comments about a white colleague's black son. And again, this stuff right here is so vile that I got to give a disclaimer, okay, for the YouTube moderators, because sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between somebody that is, condoning these type of comments and somebody that is condemning them. I'm clearly condemning these comments, okay? These comments, right, are not okay, okay? I am condemning it. That is the point of this video, so that everybody understands. But let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to read about it, but first I actually really want to play the audio so that you guys can kind of get some context in regards to what these Democrats were caught saying. Okay, now this involves LA City Council members, the president, Nuri Martinez, Kevin D. Leon, and Jill Cedillo, and the LA Labor Union president, Ron Herrera. They made numerous racist comments about their colleagues, including one that says, F that guy, he's with the blacks. Now, they're talking about the district attorney for San Francisco, George Gaston. Now, this audio took place last year during 2021, in which they were talking about redistricting. And this what was said. I want to play this clip.
Folks like with Gaston, he did call me. He wants to have breakfast with me.
What's taking him so long?
I haven't. I just said, hey, we need to talk.
Gil supported him from the.
All right, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing him line up.
He's with the blacks.
Isaac was the first.
He's with the blacks. Okay, that is what she said. Now, this woman is Hispanic, right? So, I mean, again, there's a whole lot going on here. She also made comments about a city council member's son. The city council member, his name is Mike Bonin, and his son is black. He adopted a black child, and this is what Martinez had to say about his black child.
Whatever the kid's name is, I'm like, it's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float, and then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has they're not doing, the kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. Parece changuito. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, so what she's saying there in Spanish, apparently she is saying that he's acting like a little monkey or is a little monkey, right? Something like that. Which again, people you could define as racist, right? I mean, I'm just saying, we all know what the mainstream media would be saying if this was a Republican. There would be no benefit of the doubt, right? But essentially, she is talking about this guy's son, whom he adopted, right? And the guy is white, and she's saying that he's not raising his son right, that his son actually needs a spanking, what she calls a beat down.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para
It's
acá.
a pinch.
Yeah.
But he is. He's the fourth black.
So anyways, getting back to redistricting.
Yeah. So she said that the kid needs a whooping. Again, if she kept the race stuff out of it, these comments wouldn't be all that bad. But again, she's basically trying to say that white parents don't whoop their children, right? That white kids are growing up misbehaved because they don't get whoopings or something like that, right? And basically implying that, all the colored parents, they whoop their kids. Which again, I'm not necessarily sure if that's true, but that's essentially what she's implying here. There's also some more comments that were made here, but we're not going to get into it because I don't want to make the video too long. We're just going to read about the context of this situation so that you guys can get more information about this. Democrats on the Los Angeles City Council were caught making racist remarks about a colleague's black child on a leaked audio recording, according to a report on Sunday. The recording, which was reported on by the Los Angeles Times, has not been reviewed by the Post, captured Council President Nuri Martinez referring to her colleague Mike Bonin's black son as S. Chaguito, which means that little monkey in Spanish, the newspaper reported. Martinez, who is Latina, also said Bonin, who is white, was raising his toddler like a little white kid. Quote, I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back, the city council president said. She also referred to the child as su negrito, a derogatory word for a black person in Spanish, according to the report. At another point in the roughly hour-long conversation, she called Bonin, also a Democrat, that little bitch, the Times reported. Wow. Democrats got a dirty mouth. They got some dirty, racist mouths behind closed doors, okay? So this woman is obviously going off on her colleague in multiple ways that, again, I guarantee you, this story will be a nothing burger in a day. The first day, today, the mainstream, they'll cover it, they'll talk about it, but it will go away, right, in a day. I guarantee you. Kevin De Leon, a member of the city council who unsuccessfully ran for LA mayor and California Senate, appeared to say in the recording that Bonin treated his child like an accessory. Bonin handled his kid similar to, quote, where Nuri brings her little yard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag, De Leon said, according to the report. The comments came while the council members were discussing redistricting during a meeting in October 2021 that also included another Councilman Jill Cedillo and a top LA County labor official, the Times reported. The audio was first posted on Reddit by a now suspended user and is not clear who recorded it. Wow, that's interesting. Allegedly, Reddit suspended the user. Okay, is it because they exposed the Democrats? Who knows? But it's kind of what it sounds like. It happens, but when you actually hear it, it's unbelievable. The user said in a text accompanying the audio, according to the Times, the labor movement is in bed with City Hall. Bonin told the newspaper he was still digesting the remarks, but that, quote, I'm disgusted and angry and heartsick. Quote, it's fair game to attack me, but my son, he said, you have to be pretty petty and insecure and venomous to attack a child. He wasn't even 3 years old. Other than that, I'm speechless. Now, again, here's the thing. I know behind closed doors, parents always criticize how other parents raise their children. I don't think there's anything wrong with those comments, right? About how, she said the kid needs a spanking. I don't think that's what really was, off the mark. I think that the parts in which they made it racial is where I think got them in trouble. And the fact that she is a sitting council member who, for audio recording, expressed these views that appeared to show that she may have some racial bias, that is the problem. Okay? Now, again, if this audio stuff never comes out, hey, it's not much I can really say. Okay? Either way. But the fact that it's out there, she's an elected politician. This type of stuff she's saying behind closed doors, she appears to have racial bias. I think that if Democrats are going to be consistent, she should resign. She should resign. I'm just saying. The leaked audio also captured Martinez attacking progressive LA District Attorney George Gaston, saying, F that guy, he's with the blacks, according to Knockout LA. After the article exposing her comments was published, Martinez issued a half-hearted apology in a statement to the Times. Quote, in a moment of tense frustration and anger, I let the situation get the best of me. I'll hold myself accountable for these comments. For that, I am sorry, she said. Yeah, so here's the thing. What would the Democrats / mainstream liberal media be saying if this was a Republican? Well, I'm going to show you guys exactly what they would be saying as the Democrats / mainstream media lost their minds over Tommy Tuberville saying comments that are not nearly as bad or overtly racist as these comments. Take a look.
I know you're going to have a lot to say on this next bit of news here from the Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville yesterday, and what he said on the issue of reparations that appears to be flat out racist.
They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bullshit. They are not owed that.
Van?
Just racism on top of racism, wrapped up in some racism and deep fried in some more racism with some racism powder on it. Everything he's saying is unacceptable. For him to say that Democrats want crime because that's a way for black people to get reparations is for him to say that all the criminals are black, number one, which is not true. Number two is to say that reparations is somehow about taking stuff from individual white people, which is fear-mongering, which is not what reparations is about at all. It's just, I mean, it's really shocking. And, I'm looking at a Republican Party that's willing to do backflips into the toilet to excuse Herschel Walker's activity and then say nothing about this kind of thing. But it's really, really offensive. And I think it's scary because it points to kind of a paranoid style of politics. There's some, conspiracy of Democratic elites and I guess gang members and cartels or whatever, all of which is just trying to take stuff from white people. And it's not true. It's dangerous, and listen, you don't hear me call people racist that often. I don't play that card very often. But if this is not racist, there is nothing that's racist, and this is complete. For him to conflate crime and reparations and say they're coming after you is completely beyond the pale.
I mean, just straight up racism from a sitting United States senator, but really talking to white voters about their own preconceived notions of black people being responsible for crime and not deserving anything as a result of it.
Right, and they being the Democrats who, are supportive of this supposed black crime, which, as you said, there's no other way to look at that and listen to that and say that it isn't racist. I mean, it is racist. But one thing is that, again, this, as well as the Herschel Walker element, it's all playing to this majority white base. If you look at what determines whether someone is Republican now, it tends to be whether they're white and, whether they're how religious they are and what type of religion do they subscribe to.
And their education levels.
And their
as
education
well.
levels.
Strong.
So, the Republicans are playing to this predominantly white evangelical Protestant base. And they believe that because, again, this all comes down to power. It's not really about abortion. And it comes down to the fact that they're okay with their elected officials either saying racist things or potentially paying for an abortion because they want their people in power instead of Democrats.
It's a really sad state of affairs.
Yeah, we're going to see about that, right? We're going to see if the Democrats actually hold their own elected officials accountable for the so-called racist things that they say, which again, in this case, if the Democrats are gonna hold their politicians to the same standard that they want the GOP to hold their politicians, this lady would resign, right? Which means that the mainstream liberal media as well too would come out and talk about this and be just as shocked and appalled by that as they are about what Tommy Tuberville said, which what Tommy Tuberville said wasn't nearly as bad as what this lady said, because what Tommy Tuberville was saying, even though it wasn't the most eloquent way of putting it, he basically was just repeating what the woke revolutionaries say, which is that black people should be allowed to loot and commit crimes because of reparations, because of systemic racism, right? Black people have been treated so bad in this country for so long that we should be allowed to just commit crimes and get away with it. This is what the woke revolutionaries have stated. And the Democrat Party went along with it by not saying anything, by being silent during the BLM riots as they looted and committed crimes all across the country, right? The BLM protesters and Antifa, what Democrats was co-signing was the radical progressive rhetoric and ideology and thought that, hey, because black people have been treated so bad, we should be allowed to do this. We should be allowed to commit crimes, right, as a form of reparations. He didn't just make that up. He got that from radical progressives who the Democrats have co-signed in the sense that they support the radical progressive criminal justice reform policies that have destroyed some of these inner liberal cities. And the reason why these policies are being pushed is because of this idea that black people are owed something. So don't sit here and try to act like the dude's making it up. See, they won't have a conversation about where he got those comments from or why he's saying those comments. They're just going to say, oh, it's racist. It's just racist. He's just assuming that all the people in the country that are committing these crimes are black. Well, I mean, when you look at the crime surge in these inner liberal cities, I mean, I'm just saying, the demographics and the crime statistics speak for themselves. It's not racist to simply point out that, you know, hey, a lot of these crimes are being committed by, you know, certain people. They certainly have no issues pointing out race when it comes to, you know, mass shootings, right? When white people commit mass shootings, they have no issues pointing out race. But when it comes to other types of crimes and somebody points out race or alludes to race, he didn't really say it directly, but he alluded to it. Oh my God, it's so terrible. And by the way, again, they're not going to cover what this Democrat said here, right? The LA City Council member, again, one of the largest cities in this country. The leader of this city said something overtly racist about a black child, a white man who adopted a black child. But I guarantee you, they're not going to sit at the table and have these roundtable discussions about how racist it is and how Democrats need to hold their party accountable when their politicians say racist things. You know why? Because they never had these conversations about Joe Biden and all the racist things he says. But Trump says something that's, you know, slightly racial or that has a slight racial connotation to it, they lose their minds. Again, I guarantee you, if you hear about this story, it will only be for a day and you will never hear about it again. But if it was a Republican that said something this overtly racist, especially about a black child, you would hear about it until they resign, right? You would never stop hearing about it. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.